Good evening, everybody. Today is gonna be 64th Monday Sutta discussion, and for today, I'm gonna be talking about a topic on the inevitability of the death and how it is explained, and why no being is exempt from the death. I'm going to be using a sutta called Ayyika Sutta. Ayyika is the Pali term for grandma. So this is about the death of grandma of King Kosala and what happened with that. And we're going to be talking what is death in the Buddhist teachings, and what are the other related teachings of the death in the Buddhist teachings, and how we can prepare us towards the death in this life and in the samsara. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, let me turn the page. So Ayyaka Sutta, okay, not Ayyika, Ayyaka Sutta. Savatyang, so the story happened when the Buddha was living in Savatthi. Savatthi is the capital city of Kosala state. Atako Raja Pasenadi Kosalo Diva Divasa Yena Bhagava Ten Upasankamitva Bhagavantang Abhivaditva Ekamantang Nisedi. The same situation that we saw in the previous discussion, and King Kosala came to see the Buddha in the middle of the afternoon. At Savatthi, King Pasenadi of Kosala sat to one side, and the Buddha said to him, "So, great king, where are you coming from in the middle of the day?" Ekamantang nisinnang ko rajanang Pasenading Kosalang Bhagava etadabocha Handa kuto nutwang maharaja agachasi diva divasati. Ayyaka me bhante kalakata jinna buddha mahallika addagata vayo anupatta visang vasatika jatiya. Okay, Venerable Sir, my grandmother has passed away. So what happened was King's grandma passed away. And there are adjectives about this grandma. Kalakata Jinna Buddha Mahallika Addagata Vayo Anupatta Visang Vasatika Jatiya. She was old, elderly, and senior. She was advanced in years and had reached the final stage of life. She was 120 years old. Okay. So Jinna is old, Buddha is elderly, and Mahallika senior. Addagata means she was advanced in years and had reached the final stage of life. Visang Vasatika means she was 120 years old at the time she passed away. Ayyaka kopana me bhante piya ahosi manapa hatti ratanena vepahang bhante labeyang mame ayyaka kala makasiti hatti ratanam pahang dadeyang mame ayyaka Kalamakaseti. Assa Ratanena Vepahang Bhante Labhiyang Mame Ayyaka Kalamakaseti. Assa Ratanam Pahang Dadeyang Mame Ayyaka Kalamakaseti. Gama Varena Vepahang Bhante Labhiyang Mame Ayyaka Kalamakaseti. Gama Varampahang Dadeyang Mame Ayyaka Kalamakaseti. Janapadena Vepahang Bhante Labhiyan Mame Ayyaka Kala Makaseti. Janapadam Pahang Dadeyang Mame Ayaka Kala Makaseti. This is a thought that came to the mind of King Kosala, and he really didn't like the passing away of his grandma. And he was saying what he could have done if there was a positive thing like this. But I loved my grandmother. She was dear to me. If by giving away the elephant treasure, I could get my grandmother back, I will do it. If by giving away the horse treasure, I could get my grandmother back. You know, the royal elephants and royal horses are pretty, limited to the king. But in case I could get her back to life, I could have given those two. If by giving away a prize village, I could get my grandmother back, I will do it. Even I could distribute any prize villages to anybody who could do that. If by giving away the whole country, the whole state, Kosala state, I could get my grandmother back, I will do it. So he's up to anything. If somebody can, somebody can get her life back, right? And then this is what Buddha said. Sabbe satta maharaja marana dhamma marana pariyosana maranang anatitati. Now this is the idea I put as the topic. So, right? Sabbe satta maharaja, great king. Sabbe satta marana dhamma. All sentient beings die. So we all are sentient beings. We all die. Marana pariyosana, death is our end. So death is our end in this life and in any life in the samsara. Maranang anatitati, we are not exempt from death. So none of us is exempt from the death. Okay, so I think that's a pretty normal thing that everybody knows, but we're going to be digging into more things about this topic today. So Buddha goes on to give a simile to Evametam Maharaja, Sabbe Satta Marana Dhamma, Marana Pariyusana, Marana Anatitati. Setapi Maharaja, Yani Kanichi Kumbhakara Bhajanani, Amakani Cheva Pakkanicha. Sabbani Tani Bhedana Dhammani, Bhedana Pariyusanani, Bhedanang Anatitani. Evameyako Maharaja, Sabbe Satta, Marana Dhamma, Marana Pariyusana, Maranang Anatitati. So the simile that Buddha is using is a pot made of clay, I guess. So the translation goes this way. That's so true, great king. That's so true. All sentient. It's incredible. So it's amazing how well said this was by the Buddha. All sentient beings die. Death is their end. They are not exempt from death. That's so true, great king. That's so true. All sentient beings die. Death is their end. They are not exempt from death. It's like the vessels made by potters, whatever kind they are, whether baked or unbaked, all of them are liable to break apart. Breaking is their end. They are not exempt from breakage. In the same way, all sentient beings die. Death is their end. They are not exempt from death. So this is the meaning of the translation of the English Pali passage at the end. And then Buddha also said another two stanzas with this sutta. Sabbe satta marisanti maranantang hi jivitang yatha kammang gamisanti punya papa palupaga nirayang papa kammanta Punya kamma sukati. All beings will die, for life ends with death. They pass on according to their deeds, reaping the fruits of good and bad. So this is pretty common, where in which we understand everybody dies. Depending on their good karmas and bad karmas, they're gonna be reborn. And the last stanza, those who do bad go to hell, bad places, and if you do good, you go to good places, including heaven. Tasma kareya kalyanang nichayang samparayikam punyani paralokasmin patitta honti paninanti. That's why you should do good, investing in the future life. The good deeds of sentient beings support them in the next lives. Okay, so now with this teaching, I would like to talk about the concept of the death in the Buddhist teaching in different aspects. I think death is a problem to any person if they think death only thinking this life. But if anyone thinks the death from a samsara perspective, like this process of becoming, I don't think any being will be scared of the death, but the samsara. Buddha always says samsara is the place where we all should be afraid of, because samsara is the place where we have this huge uncertainty, and we never know what kind of a life we will be taking after we die, because there's no guarantee. Even you do good things, even you do bad things, but there's one thing: if you do good things, you can at least make sure that things will happen in a positive way. But still the last moment affects in a way, so that we have to stay mindful all the time, because we never know when we're gonna die. So that's how we're gonna spend the time and prepare us for death, because death has to be seen from a samsara perspective, not just from one life perspective. So that's one thing a lot of people miss out on. So I want to tell you that please see the death from a samsara perspective, not just from one life perspective. So that could be a small problem in when you understand this whole concept of death. The second thing is, a lot of people do not think death is a part of their life. They only think about the life from this living perspective, but they don't ever think that death is part of this life. So I encourage you to think that death is a part of your life, so that you won't be so much upset about it one day when it happens to anybody in your circle of your life, or in your family, or even to yourself. You know that this is this inevitable thing that will happen to any being, right? The third thing is that when we talk about the death, it relates to many other things in the Buddhist teachings. One is the karma, because of the karma we tend to be reborn, right? So becoming an arahant means the end of karma, and you are not making more karmas after that point. But still you will experience karmas until you die. So the topic of discussion of the death is always included in the discussion of the karma too. So on one side, I want you to think that karma is what causes us to be reborn when we die. We're definitely going to be reborn, and we have to be scared of samsara. So that's the point, not just the death. You will, because the thing is that you will only see the one life death. That's why you're gonna be very scared of, and also some you know notions and norms of people, perceptions that you have acquired through different means of knowledge about the death, so that you are kind of like so much worried about it. But death is a place where we all worry, because the thing is that we never know what's going to happen, and we want to protect everybody. We don't want someone dies that way. So we want everybody to be happy and healthy. But when it comes to this samsara perspective, that incurs a lot of uncertainty, because we never know where we're gonna heading to. So now you get a sort of sense of knowledge about the death, the teachings of the Buddha about the death. But I further want to discuss a few more things. In one of the teachings, Buddha says nobody can escape from the death. Na antalikke na samuddhamajje na pabbatanang va vivaram pavissa na vichati so jagati padeso yattattitang nappa sahitamachu. You won't find a spot in the world, not in the sky, not in the ocean, not inside a mountain cave, where death will not overtake you. That means you can escape from that. Remember what happened to King Supabuddha, and he knew that he would die in 7 days, but he was trying to escape from the death. But what happened? One of his bodyguards, the security, king's security, pushed him from the palace, in one of the top places of the palace. It is inescapable, but it doesn't mean that we're gonna risk someone. We have to take a risk of our life. We have to protect our life. We have to take care of it. But still, there is an end to all the lives of sentient beings. That's what it says. So we can go away from the death. Death is inevitable and it is inescapable. What happens when someone dies? When we all die, what happens? We know what happens is that our namas and the rupas, they stop. And then what happens? There's no response of the sense organs, which you call indriyas and ayatanas. Then what happens? We say we die. And some of you could remember that the discussion I did with Professor Karyo some few weeks ago. We talked about how to die mindfully. And we also talk about how we define a death in the Buddhist teachings, and we define that when someone's ayu, lifespan, or jivitindriya, and temperature, usma, and vijnana, consciousness, go away from one's physicality and non-physicality. That's the place someone dies. So looks like when the vijnana, that means consciousness, goes away, the other three aggregates that are related to the consciousness, I mean mind, they also go away simultaneously. What are they? Sanya, Sankara, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara. They can't exist without a consciousness. Right? So your Rupa Kanda is already dead because the consciousness, Vijnana, goes away. And then what happens? Vedana, Sanya, Sankara can exist without consciousness. So that they have to go away as well. So basically that is what we call a physical death. And we know there are a couple definitions and categorical interpretations of the death. There are four types of death. The first one is Khanika Marana. Khanika Marana is what we call the dissolution of the conditioned phenomena. Now we know that we are sankharas. Now, everything around me, including me, we all are sankharas. The only thing that is not sankhara is the nibbana. The rest is sankhara. So, every sankhara has three realities to face with. What are they? Upadupanyayati. There is a sort of, you know, there's a sort of, birth of any sankhara, and vayupanyayati, there's a sort of passing away, and titasa aniratam panyayati, there's a sort of existence between the birth and the death. So this is common to everything, including the Buddha statue, flowers, including me and everybody. So now it is said that the death is fourfold. Now kanika marana means because we are sankharas, every moment we die. Even at this point, we all are dying. So that's called kanika marana. So it's pretty clear. If someone asks you how, did you get your first white hair? How did you first get your wrinkle? How did you get, so and so, for the first time? Did it happen just in one day? No, it was a process. So it's aging, and aging happens every moment. The becoming between the birth and the decay, or I would say the death, happens every nanosecond, maybe even more than that sort of time period, time interval. So the first death is called kanika marana. That means death related to sankhara. So then that means we all, including other sankharas that are not animate, we are all dying based on the sankharas all the time. We call it the constant dissolution of conditioned phenomena. Second one is sammuti marana. It's the marana that we all know when someone dies after the end of the life faculty within a single life. For example, I would say life faculty is a jivitendriya. In the Abhidhamma we call jivitendriya is one of the 8 faculties. Jivitendriya is not taken in the sutta teachings as one of the faculties, because in the in the sutta teachings we know only there are 6 faculties, right? Eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. But when you say jivitendriya, that means the life faculty. That means everything, the whole body is taken as a faculty, especially in the Abhidhamma. So what happens is when someone dies, this jivitendriya has 2 parts. We call it exactly nama jivitendriya, mental life, and rupa jivitendriya, physical life. So jivitendriya has 2 parts. So when someone dies, we say tatta marananti eka bhava pariyapannasa jivitendriya supacchedu. So that means marana simply means the cutting off the life faculty within a single life. That means when someone's jivitendriya, when someone's jivitendriya is cut off in one single life, that's called marana. So that's sammuti marana. So we all have jivitendriya at this point. So that's the normal conventional death, unlikely the first one. The third one is upachcheda marana. Upachcheda marana could be a marana, a death that can happen, untimely. Sometimes, there are some deaths happen very untimely for different reasons. So that's pretty sad, but it can happen too. And the last marana, death, is samuchcheda marana, death of an arahant, death of someone who attains nibbana. So that's the best death in the Buddhist teachings. superior sort of death. The idea is when an Arahant or a Pacceka Buddha or a Samma Sambuddha dies, they will never be reborn. So unlikely in the Kanika Marana, Sammuti Marana, Upachedama, they all are going to be reborn again. So never know where they're going to be reborn. But when you come to Samucheda Marana, that means the Marana where an Arahant or a Pacceka Buddha or a Samma Sambuddha die without any further residue. They don't, supposed to be reborn once again. So that's the Marana we have to look for. That's why we all have to become Sotapan before we die. So that we are making sure that we are not going to be reborn again. At least, Sotapanna, you are going to be reborn for 7 more times, but at least that's the first step. If you can attain Nibbana, but at least you are making sure that you are not going to hell, you are not going to a bad place. So you are making sure that you are only going to be reborn another 7 more times in a good place. But definitely, before you are exceeding 7 more times of rebirth, you're gonna be attaining Nibbana. At least you are making sure you are sort of like guaranteeing yourself that you are not into bad states, hells. That's why I'm always encouraging in my Dhamma talks, try to become a Sotapanna, at least Sotapanna. If you can, don't aim for Nibbana in this life. If you know that you can make it, don't plan for it. But if you know you can at least do this, becoming a Sotapanna, aim for that. The rest of the things I am not recommending. If you think that you want to be reborn in a heaven, I don't think it's a good idea, because we never know what's going to happen when we die. Okay, so aim at becoming a Sotapanna person. And I've been talking how to become a Sotapanna person in many other discussions. You need to get rid of Sakkaya Ditthi, Vicikiccha, Silappata Paramasa. And if anyone would like to learn more about those 3 things, I can let them know. I can let them know by different sources later. Okay, so there are 4 causes of death: Ayukkaya, Kammakkaya, Ubayakkaya, Upachedaka. So there are causes of death. Some people die because of the expiry of life faculty, lifespan. It can happen, right? Now, how can someone's lifespan expire? It depends on different reasons. It could depend on the place where you're going to be reborn. Let's say when you are going to be reborn in a certain country, certain place, I know each country has a life expectancy for males and females. Maybe, let's say you're going to be reborn in a place where there are a lot of health issues and you won't survive more than the time that they anticipate. You will hardly survive. But if you born in a place where you feel comfortable and where you see that there is a longer life expectancy, then you see that your life faculty is taking a longer process. So okay. But there could be some exceptions. Sometimes if you even going to be reborn in a place where you feel life is uncomfortable, but for different reasons you might be able to survive. Kammakkaya is the death that can happen after the expiry of your kamma. So, which could be, the common death to many people after Kammakkaya. Ubayakkaya means the death that happens after the expiry of the both lifespan and kamma. So it's pretty hard to say, but I would say sometimes there may be an individual who might die because of the expiry of the lifespan as well as the kamma. I would say someone is going to be reborn in a place where there is a life expectancy of 80 years, I would say. And then what happens? His or her kammas also last only for 80 years. So the place that that person is going to be reborn, he has a certain lifespan, I would say 80. And Kamma also only survive him for 80 years. So that's what we call Ubayakke Marana, the death that happens after the expiry of the both lifespan and the Kamma. Upachedaka Marana, once again, means this untimely death, the death that can happen to someone because that person may have done one of the 5 heinous kammas: killing mom, killing dad, killing arahants, wounding the Buddha, and making schism among the monks and monastics. So these are the 5 heinous kammas. It doesn't mean that one should not execute these 5. One should never execute any bad action, bad thought, bad word. But these are special, special type of heinous, the most dangerous karmas one should never think of doing. So if someone had done such things, they would have died with upachedaka, untimely deaths. And there are a bunch of words for death in the Buddhist teachings. Let me give you a couple of them. Antaka means one of the terms for the death. Anta is end. Ka means doer or maker. So the maker of the end of someone's life. So which might be the Mara at certain point. Kala is also another term for Mara. Now people say in Sanskrit and Pali Kala. Kala is not just time. It comes from Mara. Actually, Kala is Mara. When you say, I have no time, I have no Kala, that means you have no time. So Kala exactly means Machu, or in other case, Mara. That's why in one of the stanzas it says, Kalu gasati bhutani. Kala eats the beings. Kala eats one's time as well as oneself at certain point. What happens is that in our life, we're spending our time, decade by decade. And then what happens at certain point? We think that Kala eats our time. But at one point, Kala eats us. That's what we call the death. It's pretty interesting. So Kalu gasati bhutani means Kala eats our time, our normal time that we spend each decade, each hour, each day, each year, each month. And then at certain point in the future, one day, Kala eats us. That's called Machu. Chuti is what we call one of the terms of, leaving. We know that the death to the devas, the deities, it is called Chuti. That means they don't leave their bodies, physical bodies in the heavens. But Chuti simply means leaving. Apeta Vijnana. This is another very famous term in the Pali teachings. Vijnana, apeta. Apeta is left. So when someone, leave one's body, or when someone is going with Vijnana, so there is an imminent death. There must have a death happen. Te jana para mesanti machu deyang suduttarang is another very famous part of a stanza. All the mortal beings, so this includes all the beings in the heavens, all the beings in the human world, all the beings in the hells. They are loyal citizens of the kingdom of Mara. Because of this citizenship, the beings are known as Machu. So we are all called Machu, which is pretty interesting. Because the thing is like we are beings of Mara. So it says that we are in the kingdom of Mara. So we are the citizens of the Mara. So we have not we have not given up the citizenship of the Mara's kingdom. That's why we are part of the Mara's kingdom. So we got to be very careful, because when we are into craving, desires, and we get stuck. We get stuck. Mara likes us to be, you know, uh, us to be get stuck and us to fall prey to the sensual desires. We got to be very careful because of that. That's why there is one stanza where in which we understand this idea. Achirang vatayang kayu pataving adisessati. Chuddu apeta vinyano nirattang kalingaram. At the death of a being, body being totally devoid of the mental activity. That's why I said when someone dies, consciousness goes away, and then because consciousness goes away, vinyana goes away, sanya, vedana, sankara can exist, they also have to go away, and then what happens? All the mental activity is going to be neutralized. So what happens? The body lies upon the ground, cast aside even as a useless, rotten log. Right? There's no purpose of that. So pretty much I would understand that we need to think death from a samsara perspective. If we do not think death from a samsara perspective, we only get stuck to one life and we only worry about the death of one life. We will never understand the process of the birth and the death. So we need to look into the death from that larger, broader perspective of samsara. At the same time, because we die and we never know what's going to happen when we die, it is really good to do more good karma, especially the kusala, so that we know wherever we go after the death, it's going to be a pleasant place. But that is also very uncertain. That's why I encourage you at the beginning of this talk to aim at becoming a Sotapanna person. I know, as I said at the beginning, people have a lot of, worrying thoughts about the death. It's true because we don't like to die. But we have to mentalize death is imminent. We can escape from the death, so that we should try our best to get rid of Sakkaya Ditthi, Vicikiccha, and Silabbata Paramasa. So that should be our plan. There's one comment I can see: if one live accordingly to the Dhamma, performing more wholesome actions, thoughts, and words, and avoiding evil, then one should fear death. One should not. Yeah, one should not. But the problem is, if you die without attaining any of the spiritual stages, and you are still jeopardizing yourself, risking yourself, and you became a human, and which is the best place to understand the suffering, dukkha, and then you die by thinking better places. So that I would like to encourage you to think about, coming up with a plan to get rid of all these fetters. So basically the fetters we call Sakkaya Ditthi, Vicikiccha, Silabbata Paramasa. At the same time, reflecting on the death can also help, but I rather encourage you to think death as an end of one life, but it is still something that you have to see with this larger, broader perspective of samsara, because every life we died. It's not a new normal thing for us. The only thing is that we never know what lives we spend and what lives we're going to be having in the future. And one other thing is the time we die. So even though you are a good person, you've been doing a lot of good things, we never know what will happen to you when you die. That's why Buddha said to practice sati and sampajanya at all times in Satipatthana Sutta, because the thought process takes control of everything. When you die, they are the sort of like the strong holds of the next life. That's why Buddha says, especially in the Abhidhamma, there are three things that happen when people die: kamma, kamma nimitta, and gati nimitta. So the last moment kamma, and then kamma nimitta is a symbolic thing that you do at the last moment with that particular kamma, and then gati nimitta means the place where you're gonna be reborn. It says that uh, you know we are not certain how it happens to many. Before we die, we are supposed to get a sort of a hint of the next life, but I don't know. I mean, this is something that is perceivable, or sort of like discernible for someone who understands before they die. Maybe at the same time that person dies. So anyways, I think that we need to sort of looking into different things with these teachings of the death in the Buddhist teachings. The first thing is look at death from a samsara perspective, because we never know what's going to happen when we die. Practice satipatthana all the time, mindfulness, and then we have achieved this human life after done a lot of good karmas in our sansara. So make the most out of it. That's only by understanding how we can attain sotapanna. And also we have to understand whatever the good karmas you do in your life, the last moment affects you. That's why I said satipatthana is what you need to keep practicing, right? So all these things you need to keep in your mind, all these different intricate points. Otherwise you will not understand the whole point of the death teachings in the Buddhist perspectives. So the other thing is vijnana. Now there are 8 types of vijnanas in the Buddhist teachings, and I know that the Yogacara philosophers, they have developed that to a brilliant state. We know there are 6 main consciousness types: Chakku Vijnana, eye consciousness; Sota Vijnana, ear consciousness; Gahana Vijnana, nose consciousness; Jivha Vijnana, tongue consciousness; Kaya Vijnana, body consciousness; and Mano Vijnana, mind consciousness; and Anumiti Vijnana, consciousness on inference; and Ale Vijnana, store consciousness or base consciousness. So we don't need to get sort of confused about these names, especially the last 2. What they say is that we have a consciousness for inference, guessing purposes. Also, the store consciousness is exactly the consciousness we know with the Pali term called Bhavanga Vijnana or Bhavanga Chitta. When we die, what happens? This Bhavanga Chitta goes away from the body permanently. So it's a permanent transition. That's why it is said in the Visuddhimagga, the person, because the Bhavanga Chitta goes out, we have to sort of understand the person who dies. Now, in other religions, they talk about, especially the contemporary religions, they say the same person traverses in the form of a consciousness. But Buddha said, nacha so nacha anyo. They are neither, or he or she is neither completely identical, nor completely separate. Because it is a process of cause and effect. You can say the same person traverses. So it's not like X dies and X is reborn. Because of the uniqueness of the karmas of that particular person, we can say the same X traverses into the next life. Because his or her karmas are always, process. So, up for maturity. So what happens is that this store consciousness to Yogacara philosophers is the same Bhavanga Chitta we understand in the Theravada teaching, especially in Abhidhamma. So even now we have this store consciousness called Bhavanga Chitta. But all the other consciousnesses, they arise, exist, and perish away inside the Bhavanga Chitta or stock consciousness. And when we die, stock consciousness goes away. So there is no space for Sanya to arise. There's no space to Vedana to arise. There's no place for Vedana to arise. So that's why the 17 moments of or thought process especially applies to Bhavanga Chitta, or in other words, stock consciousness. And when we die, we know we have this Chuti Chitta, the last moment, and then it becomes a Patisandhi Vijnana, right? It becomes a Patisandhi. Chuti Chitta transforms into Patisandhi Vijnana, and then what happens? Now, Patisandhi Vijnana, when the Patisandhi Vijnana arises, now somebody can wonder how it happens, how the next life happens. The next life happens because when you die, you are going out with this changing, ever-changing Bhavanga Chitta or stock consciousness. It has the Sankharas. So based on those Sankharas, Bhavanga Chitta, takes place. And then Bhavanga Chitta transform into this Patisandhi Vijnana in the next life. So you can say you are the same identical person, a separate person. So it's because of this, all changing, ever-changing entities of Sankharas. So now, looking at these different changes, I would say that this is a unique process. At the same time, it's also like, giving us some insights to think that this process is sometimes dangerous, seriously dangerous, because we never know where we're gonna heading off. Even though you make sure that you have done a lot of good karmas, if you are not practicing Satipatthana all the time, you never know what will happen when you die. So I'm encouraging to do skillful activities, kusala karmas all the time, but you need to stay consistent with Satipatthana. Now, when I say Satipatthana, you have to practice the 4 establishments of mindfulness: Kaya, Vedana, Chitta, Dhamma, with Sampajanya. And I think a lot of people lose not just the Sati and Sampajanya, but also Atapi, effort, wholesome effort. Even though they know what to do, but they become lazy, and what happens is that they then do not think to execute a skillful activity. So all these things affect your this journey of your Bhavanga Chitta to become Patisandhi Vijnana, and then sort of the next life, and the next life. So it's going to be a problematic process in a way. So on the safer side, I would say, do more good karmas, plan to attain Sotapanna in this life. Don't just think about the last moment. We never know when that happens, but at least you make sure that you are trying to get rid of Sakkaya Ditthi, Vicikiccha, Silabbata Paramasa, which you call Sakkaya Ditthi basically means grasping, sort of like grasping towards the 5 aggregates. It is 24. And then Vicikiccha is the doubts about 8 things, and Silabbata Paramasa is thinking that the precepts only can take you to Nibbana. 5 precept, 8 precept only can take you to Nibbana. We need to take precept, we need to protect and take care of the precept, but never think they only take you to Nibbana, because Sila is only one part of the discipline, and then Samadhi, and then Panya. So the most important parts are Samadhi and Panya, because Sila prepares you for Samadhi, and then Samadhi prepares you for wisdom. That's why Buddha says, when we have wisdom, Panya, only we understand this Vipassana you call it insight. Then we understand everything with Yoniso Manasikara, wise reflection. Okay, any other questions from the people who are watching live? Appreciate every minute to do good deeds, practice good actions, speak good words, try our best and keep practicing. I think not just every minute, every moment, because minute is something like a worldly usage. I would say every moment, especially because karma is not action but intention. We can do a lot of good karmas not just by thinking the action part, but just by thinking the volition part, or called the intention part. Now, a lot of people think they want to go to a place, they want to do good things. I mean, it's okay, but you can do a lot of good karmas, and the more you can create more positive and strong good karmas by kusala karmas, by focusing on the mental kusala karmas based on the mental activities. I would say not being envious or not being covetous, not into, that means you are not into abhijja and avyapada, non-ill will, and then michariti, you are not into unwholesome view. So if you are not executing these three, you are making better, the best, the top skillful activities. Kusala karmas, I think they are, in a way, they are more than enough. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't go to temple. I mean, you can go to temple, but because you should have a reference about your life, what's happening to your life, what can happen to your life after you die. So in that context, in that case, I would say focus more on your mental skillful activity. I would say mental kusalas. So the kusala karmas you could do, by the mind. So that's really interesting. So every moment, if you think you are so covetous, you don't tolerate other people's stuff, you have a very big problem. You are making big akusala. When you see something you like in other people, just appreciate. If you can't appreciate, sometimes you can. You don't need to, because they are not known to you, alien to you. So then you just mentalizing, oh, it's a good thing, so I appreciate that. You should be able to do that, and never ever think to harm anyone. That's a second strong skillful activity you can do by mind. If you harm anyone just by your mind, you are making the worst karmas. They are more powerful. And also the birds, especially the unwholesome view, right? So if you have unwholesome view, that means you never know what is akusala, what is the root of akusala, what is kusala, what is the root of kusala, then you are into unwholesome view. So it's going to be a problem too. So if you make sure that you are not making mental akusalas, if you are doing mental kusalas, you are really good. It's more than enough to face, understand samsara and the one life deaths, and to plan for Sotapanna in this very life, not in the future life. Don't ever think about heavens. You never know it will happen or not. But in this human life, the best thing you could do is becoming a Sotapanna. So that's what I want to share with you today. And in the sutta called Ayyaka, the grandmother of King Kosala passed away, and he was really upset about it, very sad. He really want to get her life back, but Buddha said, no, it's not possible. Everybody dies. Death is our end. We are not exempt from death. That's why we need to do more kusala karmas. Basically, the kusala karmas with mind. And that's what we've been talking. So don't be scared of one life death. You will be afraid of the death if you haven't done good karma, skillful activities, not yet planned to attain at least Sotapanna. That's where you get very scared. So try to plan for these things, and but spend a good life. Don't risk your life. Take care of your family. Take care of your kids. Take care of your parents. And one day when you die physically, because we have to die, you will be very happy. You will die happily. You won't die with frustrations, unfinished business. Okay, are there any other questions? See, no more questions. So let's close the sutta discussion by sharing good karmas with the deities and the beings, our departed relatives who passed away, in the name of all of us. May all the good karmas that we've been accumulating by sharing Dhamma be shared by all the departed relatives who passed away, in the name of all of us. May they be happy and peaceful. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. Idamme ñāti nang hotu sukita huntu ñātayo. We have a custom that we share good karmas with the deities who protect and bless all of us. Devas are also listening to them all the time. So, and you know, at one time when Buddha was talking about the death and the repercussions of the karmas, the deities starting to cry out. They never knew that their comforts will going to end. They will die one day too. So they were really scared and they started crying out. And Buddha said, this is the truth. So same thing happens to everybody of us. So anyways, devas are more comfortable beings. So they like the people who talk Dhamma. They like the people who listen to Dhamma too. They want to protect the good people and the whole universe. May all the deities share in all these good karmas. May they be happy and peaceful. May they bless all of you far and wide. Your families, your parents, your sisters, brothers, parents, everyone in your, you know or you don't know. May all those beings be protected and blessed by the deities and Nagas. May the deities and Nagas also be happy and peaceful. May they also attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ettavatacha ammehi sambatang punya sampadang. Sabbe deva anumodantu. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu. Sabbe satta anumodantu. Sabbasang patti sindhya. Akasattha chibummattha. Devanaga mahintika. Punyantang anumoditva. Chirang rakkang tuluka sasanang. Chirang rakkang tudesanang. Chirang rakkang tumang paranti. Finally, let's make a great wish. May all the good karmas we've been accumulating in all these ways, by offering, by listening, by sharing, discussing, by even pondering about, these specific things about the Dhamma, be helpful to all of us to attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana in this very life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm going to be blessing you with couple more stanzas. Please receive the blessings. Abhivadana silis nichang vadha pachayino chattaru dhamma vadhante ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samijjatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Before closing, I would like to say that we're going to be doing discussion, Dhamma Pariyasana discussion on Wednesday with Professor Karivasam. This Wednesday's topic is going to be what we get wrong about Nirvana. So it's a pretty interesting topic. So please stay tuned on Wednesday. Ottawa time is from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Malaysia time is from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. and Thailand time is from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. I hope the others would understand, find out their time. Thank you. Have a good night. Take care. Thank you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.